Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Cherish TV. Ooh. We are so glad that you joined us today, and I want to welcome my beautiful co-host, Miss Ashley. Here you are back again.
Hello.
Anastasia, darling, great to have you back here.
Hi, everyone.
Beautiful Victoria.
Hello.
Always good to see you. Get ready for some feist and some fun.
That's right.
And my beautiful friend, Michaela Ray, here for her first time.
Yeah.
Her debut on Cherish TV.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here.
Yes, it's exciting to have you. So, K-Ray, I've heard it said that if you're missing, we would actually be good to find you at Nordstrom. Is that correct?
Yes. Hands down, Nordstrom.
Or having coffee with me.
That's right.
Well,
exactly.
actually, you know what? We haven't had coffee in a while.
And Nordstrom.
Yeah,
in
coffee
the
and
Nordstrom's Cafe.
Yes.
Accurate.
Done.
Yes. So we got a fun day of hot topics planned. We want to discuss some things with you. So get ready. We're going to be asking you some questions at the end of the show. So get your fingers ready to do some typing. Let us know from where you're from too. We want you to shout out from your city, your town. We love that you're watching from all over the world. So we've got some exciting things we're going to get into today. First and foremost, girls, are you ready?
We are ready. Let's do this.
We're going to get right in there. Fox News reported a Florida woman, who shall remain nameless, was arrested after allegedly attacking her husband for forgetting their anniversary. And she was actually charged with domestic battery.
Wow.
So I read a bit of the story, and she was allegedly slapping her husband around the face and the chest and pushed him to the ground and scratched him. And he filmed the whole thing.
Of
so
course,
wow. Like,
as one would.
Right, in 2018, everything gets filmed. So I feel like it's a sad story,
Right.
you know, an interesting story. So, I mean, where did all this start? Like,
I mean, I don't know. Did this all begin way back? I mean, years ago. Do you remember Lorena Bobbitt?
yes.
Seriously,
Yes.
the woman
She's unforgettable.
chopped off her husband's penis. Like, that happened.
This is the thing. Like how?
So I don't know, how far have we come is the question, really.
Oh.
I don't know, is it that bad now that we're now
She brought violence to a whole new level.
I still can't believe that it really happened.
Yeah.
And she's from Ecuador.
fun-filled
Your people.
fact?
Your people.
She's one of you.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm not going to receive that one. But, yes, we did live in the same area.
That
You know,
is
funny
so
enough.
funny.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what? My husband actually called me Michaela Bobbitt one time.
No,
Yeah,
no.
but I didn't go so far as to chop off his private parts.
Thank God.
But
Praise the Lord.
But I did throw some shoes at his head. And, you know, it's been so long, and I was a new Christian, and I can't remember exactly why I was so ticked off. But the shoe literally stuck in the wall. It made a hole in the wall, the heel stuck, and then it
Is
just
this when you
dangled
were
there.
married or when you were dating?
This was when we were married.
Okay.
When
So
we
it
were
was too late for
dating,
him to run
there's
away. It
another
was
shoe
over.
story.
Yes,
So I
tell
must
us.
have went to Nordstrom and got a whole bunch of new shoes, but I was so mad this day. So he told me that we could not have sex. And I was like, oh, no, you didn't, because we are going to have sex. So then he goes, and this is at his house. He goes running out the door, running down the
So
street.
this is when you weren't a Christian. So
I was
you
a
got
new
newly saved, and you
Yes.
didn't understand.
I didn't understand.
That
I
he
was
had
just
this
like,
covenant with the Lord, with his body.
I just didn't. I had no clue. I'm like, I don't understand that at all. So
Like, I'm
someone
so hot. Like, why? Wouldn't you want this, Matt?
Yeah,
This is an
exactly.
incredible story.
Yeah, so
I'm
I
loving
just
that
gathered
we're learning this about you.
every shoe from my closet. I like how my debut on Cherish Live TV is about how I was crazy, but that's okay. We you know,
We've covered
have
that
some
topic
stories.
ad nauseum.
So throwing shoes at him as he's running down the street. Every shoe I could find, I was
my
just
gosh.
chucking at his head.
because
so
he wouldn't fornicate with you.
he wouldn't.
Well, and
Yeah.
good man. He actually ran away. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen very often.
Well, the Bible does say, "Flee youthful lust."
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it's a good man that can run away from his gorgeous girlfriend when she's like so frustrated because she wants to copulate. So well
Who
done.
wants to populate?
Oh my gosh.
Copulate. Well done, Dr. Matt. So, but you know what, I got to say, you know, dealing with conflict and disappointment in marriage is a very real thing. So I'm looking even just at this story about this woman from Florida, and I do feel sorry for her. Sure, there's no excuses for violence,
Right.
but dude, your anniversary comes around once a year.
Go to
Like,
Target.
come on.
There's one on every corner. Get a card.
Yes.
You're good.
Exactly. I think there's nothing like bringing out the psycho in women, like not feeling valued and cherished.
Yeah.
And just so we can put it out there, I think
Right.
the whole Facebook world, and for the men watching here today, just so you understand, every woman is at least 10% psycho, okay?
At least.
At least.
Bare
And that's the
minimum.
minimum. And the percentage only goes up from there depending on what season of life she's in. So I hear some men say sometimes, my wife's such a psycho. Listen, every man's wife is a bit of a psycho. Okay, it's like it's just
Yes,
how,
it just
and
is what
every
it
man
is.
is 10% jerk. By
Yes,
the way,
let's clarify
so
that. Yeah.
needs to be put in there. I mean, I've definitely had my moments in marriage where my husband was just about afraid of me, and I had to make some really serious changes about how I engage and interacted when I got disappointed or felt unvalued or felt hurt. But what do you girls think is like what's a productive way? Obviously, beating your husband is not the solution.
Right.
She now has a criminal record. She's now being charged with domestic battery, which is terrible. But a lot of these frustrations for women are really real. So what do we do?
I mean, I think that at the end of the day, you got to look at where all this frustration is coming from.
Right.
Because the moment that the fighting, if you got to bring out the fists, there's clearly some unresolved issues,
Totally.
some conversations that haven't happened. And most people you find, even in an argument, in any relationship, especially if you've got two feisty people, each one is trying to outdo the other. And if you can't find your way in words, then you resort to, sadly, I mean, let's not get all the way back to Lorena Bobbitt, but those things can happen. So I feel like more what we need to do is we need to, when we're not at that crazy heightened stage, we got to dial it back. What's the real issue? What's the real problem? And you know what, even sometimes bringing in a mediator, like if you're at a point or at a level where you're like, we are just not seeing eye to eye, we can't deal with this. Clearly it's even starting to get out of control. Let's dial that back and let's maybe get somebody else, a mediator, involved where we can go, okay, let's actually have this conversation. What really happened? What hurt? What pain? What thing do we need to actually deal with? And I think if we can deal with it in a non-heightened way, and then when we start to get heightened, we all have a little thing called self-control. We don't all like to use it, but we got it.
We got it.
And so we can do that. I think if we have conversations in the appropriate place, I think that could be, one way at least to
And I
dial
think
it back.
dealing with the issues when they're small. So many times you're like, oh, it's not that big a deal, but actually it did bother you.
Right.
And so we just sweep those little things under the carpet, but all those little things, if you just keep sweeping them, before you know it, you have a huge pile of unresolved issues, and it's going to trip you up in your relationship. So I think we can't ever underestimate the importance of dealing with issues, the little issues, because they are piling up, and then you have those moments where you're beating and cutting off penises.
If
and
any, if any level of emotion is involved, it's a teller. You say this all the time, like our emotions are actually a thermometer of the soul. So we actually do need to pay attention to our emotions. So if we start to get a bit heightened, something could very well be wrong. It's just, could we deal with it then? I think we don't deal with it on time.
And that's the thing. So there should have been legitimate disappointment on behalf of this woman over what she experienced. Like, she's let down. This happens once a year. It's the celebration of their coming together. And he forgot. And not only that, he filmed it.
Okay, that's a whole nother level.
I feel like that's a breach of, and then at the end of the day, I don't know, if you're staying with this woman, do you need to press charges? Could it be something where you go, you know what, I love you. I'm not going to make this so there's a criminal record, but let's go get help. Let's go get counsel. And I think most of us at this table that are married would have had to have brought a mediator in at some point, because we're all individual people. We live our lives in different ways. We think differently. And it's the coming together of two unique individuals. There's going to be sparks.
Well, did this guy want a battle or did he want a fruitful marriage?
Exactly.
That's the question. Because if you're filming something, I don't know that you're looking for resolve.
Yeah, exactly. I had to come to a point in my marriage because my husband was so good with words that there were times where I definitely lashed out. I can't tell you that I haven't slapped my husband, back in our early days.
That's out there.
Words failed me, and I didn't know how to fight him verbally. So sometimes, and I'm not saying this is right or this is justifiable, but it happens, and there has to be a better solution to making it right. And for me, it got to the point where, I like winning and I like being right, but I love my husband more.
Beautiful.
And I want to stay married. And so I got to the point where I had to really deal with some of the issues in me. Why do I fly off the handle every time, either I don't get my way or I don't feel cherished and I don't feel loved? And just going to a different tactic of learning to converse without heat and without a whole lot of emotion. And I find addressing things in a moment where there isn't tension is so much better. So instead of firing back in the heat of the moment, waiting and going, you know what, when I've kept my cool, when I got my cool, I'm going to come back and I'm going to have a civilized, respectful conversation about what is hurting me here. What would you girls say? Ashley, have you ever been there in your marriage?
I have, and it's interesting because I actually err on the side of being, when Kenny gets home, because I stay at home with Dallas, is as soon as he comes through the door, I have 15 things. I'm like, freaking flying off the handle. But I've had to learn like the timing in it, because
Yeah.
even if I have like a legitimate concern or frustration, I find that, like you were saying, it's so much more fruitful in that moment to wait, maybe have some married time or whatever I need to do so that Kenny
Married
is relaxed.
time.
Yes.
Married nap. That's what we call it in our house.
Reminder.
A married nap.
Married.
Married nap.
Yes.
Oh yeah. But for me, that's what's worked, and that's what I always try and do. But it is super hard not to just, the second I see his face, I'm like, ooh, my life today was crazy. But instead, waiting and cooking dinner and being both on the same playing field, and it's so much better. And I get usually what I need or want without this whole pushback.
There's ways to get through it.
Yeah.
And you know what? God is for your marriage. He has answers. And he's going to bring great people in your life to give you wisdom that you don't have. That's what I found. So with this, you know, just the war of the sexes, we've seen this rise of feminism and I am woman, hear me roar, and almost like a bit of a superiority as women take center stage and really assert their rights. And you know, I believe it started from a good place many years ago, like a healthy place of women actually having a right voice. Just recently, I read a tweet that I want to read with you. It was actually a journal entry that was written in 1925 by a woman who lived back then, and her great-granddaughter tweeted it just recently, and it says this: "There is no faith in a man, not even in a brother. So girls, if you must love, love one another." So this is a journal entry from a woman who lived in 1925, and her great-granddaughter retweeted it with the sign on the bottom, "My great-grandma's version of men are trash." And I just thought, it's kind of sad how far we've fallen, you know, because in the beginning we were created to be each other's helpmates, and God actually said, "I'm going to make a helper who's comparable to you, who is your perfect match. His strengths are going to fulfill your weaknesses. Your strengths are going to fulfill his weaknesses." But we've kind of there's so much division. So has the feminist movement helped us or hurt us?
Well, you know, I think whatever we call people is sometimes what they become. And if we're going to keep calling men trash, then seemingly that's kind of what happened. I know from personal experience, this happened actually not that long ago. I know on our last episode we talked a little bit about online dating, but I was actually chatting with a guy and, you know, saw his picture, everything seemed well, some information, we exchanged some information. We're like, you know, begin just to kind of chit-chat back and forth, and he actually sets up a date with me. So we set up the date on Thursday. We're going to go out for drinks. Everything seemed, I'm like, oh, great. You know, seems like a nice enough guy. We're going to go out on a date. Well, 2 days before the date, he texts me, and he's like, "You know what? I just got off of work. I'm going for a walk. Would you want to join me?" I'm like, "You know what? I can't join you right now. I've got plans, but we've got that date set up on Thursday. Really looking forward to it." The response that I got was, "Great. Good. Then maybe you can buy me drinks then."
Goodbye.
And I was like, wait a second. Maybe I could buy him. Surely he's joking. Like, I'm like, oh, buy him drinks? Like, on the first date? So I, you know, in a funny way, kind of write back, "Oh, wow, you don't buy a girl drinks on the first date." Just thinking, haha, funny.
Yeah.
And the response I got was, "Oh my gosh, that's all that girls want is our money. First you want me to buy you drinks, then you want me to buy you dinner, and then where is it going to end?" Hello.
Oh my gosh.
That man has some residue.
What kind of women has he dated?
What just happened?
Yeah.
And so, of course, you know, so my response was, my goodness, if you don't know how to invest a mere drink in a woman on a first date, I clearly understand why you're not in a significant relationship right now. And his response to that was, "No worries, I'm talking to a bunch of other women anyway."
Ew.
Wow.
No worries.
So I don't know. Feminism hasn't helped me that much.
Well, I just wonder, what kind of experiences this guy had in order to kind of look at life that way. I was on a plane about a year ago and trying with all my might to struggle to get my enormous carry-on bag into the overhead compartment. And try as I might, I was trying to lift this thing. And look, I've done Orange Theory and Pilates and I have some guns, but I could not manage this. And it was really interesting to see the men around me look at me with wide eyes of fear and amazement, like they were conflicted. Like, "We want to help you, but if we help you, will you think that we're trying to tell you that we're stronger than you, that, you know, like you're not enough?"
So crazy.
That, like, I could just see the conflict and the torment in their eyes. Like, if we help you, will we be transgressing that you are all-powerful, all-superior, all-knowing woman? And I'm just
sad. You're like sweating
like,
and
sad. Like,
So
is
sad.
this the residue of the feminist movement? And in the beginning, I thought it started like just so people understand, I am all about women's liberation.
Right.
I am a women's liberation. I want every woman to live free. I want women to live according to their calling, with a voice, with a place, knowing her purpose and the great intent. And actually, Jesus came to liberate women.
Absolutely.
And we see him, see that he did that all throughout the New Testament. But it seems to have taken a little bit of a negative twist. It was about the 60s. I know the suffrage movement started in the 1800s, and then the right to vote came 70 years later.
Wow.
70 years they had to warfare for their right to have a voice. Wow. However, in about the 60s, in the era of the bra burning and everything else that happened, it was kind of like a shift from, you know, us standing up and finding our place and having our rightful voice and being treated correctly to, like, we are superior, women rule. And I think it's an ugly spirit.
Well,
and I think it's created bad fruit. Go ahead.
What I think is that what the feminists don't realize is that there can be room for both. There can be room for a woman who is successful and doing incredible things and making an impact, and there can be room for a man in this world. Like, it doesn't have to be one way or the other. And I think that's the mistake that they've looked past, is that they have just gotten so bottlenecked into this mentality that we have to fight for what is ours, we have to fight for what is women's rights, but it doesn't have to be that way, because that's just unhealthy.
Yes,
that's you know, you have to have, God created it so that there's movement, so that there is balance, so that we can operate together and live on this planet together and everyone be happy and be fulfilled with what they're doing. So I think we've just missed the mark a little bit on that.
And we teach people how to treat us. So if we say to men, we don't need you, guess what? They're going to treat us like we don't need them. And I like having the door open for me.
Right.
Same.
I like being called beautiful and, you know, having terms of endearment thrown my way. I don't see them as an insult. And I know that a lot of men have been scared to truly be gentlemen because we've scared them off. And that's sad.
Yeah.
It is sad. And I think you've mentioned it, Leanne, that I think it began with really great intentions.
Yeah.
Because women didn't have a voice and they didn't have a right to vote and their voices were silenced. And so I think it was very noble, the movement,
it was
how
righteous.
it began.
Yeah.
I just feel that it's been a little bit perverted. And I think the people that probably fought to have equal rights and equal pay and have a voice and have a right to vote would probably be a little bit grieved at what it's become today.
Yeah.
We've made it where men is the enemy.
Right.
And I think that's really sad because we need each other.
Yes.
And how sad would it be if we lose the femininity of the woman's heart? Like, how beautiful. Like, God created male and female, and he created us so uniquely and so beautifully and so different to complement one another. How sad if we diminish or shrink back of all that God's created the woman heart to be, the feminine heart. We need both men and women, and it's really dangerous when we begin to look at one sex as the enemy. And so I think it did have really great intention, and I think we just have to be careful to not allow it to continue to pervert. We've really got to champion one another.
Right.
Champion
be
women,
friends.
champion
And
men.
language is so important because I'm all for liberation, like we've talked about, but I wouldn't consider myself a feminist. So even the wording used is now defining something that I have to now agree or disagree with. So whilst I have some views that might be considered feminism, I would not want to label myself as a feminist. Liberationist, yes. Freedom for women, yes.
Absolutely.
So I think it's important. I see society in a lot of, you know, changing language to then suit a particular, you know, emotion or direction that we want to go, and then everybody jumps on the bandwagon.
Right.
Well, you think about it. You think if there was a term out there, a maleist or a manist, I mean, people would be up in arms. Who do these men think they are, trying to put forward that they're superior? But all of a sudden, it's okay for women to assert that they're superior. And really what that does is it creates a division. And division never bears any good fruit. And so we're seeing it spread out, and women and men so broken, and they don't know how to relate. And I just want things to be better than they've been.
It just swung too far to the other side. It wasn't. We were never meant to be superior. We're to complement one another. That's how we were created to be. And so it just swung too far. So we need to get it back into alignment.
Agreed. Agreed. Ashley, how did this impact you? Like growing up as a woman, and then also as a woman of color. You know, so having like almost the double whammy of having to fight for voice and fight for your place. Kind of speak from that perspective.
It's so funny because I feel like what Becky was saying is that it starts out so good, but it does bleed over into so many areas. So then you know, I actually think about all these women of color and stuff that now they're fighting two stigmas where they're trying not to be, you know, they're fighting off the stigma of race, of like hood, gangster, like we're women who are intelligent, you know, all those things that culturally have been something that they've had to, or we, I should say, have had to kind of come against. And then you have the woman's side of it. So I always think about, it's almost like you're trying to fight two battles, even as a woman of color in that sense. But I really think it's like what Becky said as well, is it's a balance. And what Michaela said is absolutely, are you kidding me? Women need freedom, liberation of voice, absolutely. Women who are black, brown, yellow, red, absolutely as well. I think that has been, there's been some big movements on that side as well. But I just think it's a matter of balance because
and fighting to bring that unity back because labels divide.
Oh, my word.
Wherever you see a label, you see a level of division.
Right.
So we're seeing people trying to put labels on everybody right across America and I dare say the world right now. And it's not, again, it's not bringing anything good. It's just bringing more tension, more conflict.
And then it brings like that weird, like you said, the superiority. And then now everyone is worse, but everyone is better. So no one wins actually. And it's just this, you know, this weird prideful thing.
We're seeing that divide even in like America with the two political parties.
Oh my word.
So much division. So much division. And to the point where families can't even sit down for a meal together anymore because there's so much divisiveness and so many different opinions and people just can't get along in spite of their different points of view. So, we're going to work on that. That's why Cherish TV is all about bringing a different view, a view that brings people together, not drives them apart.
Right to that.
I want to discuss this tweet that was tweeted out just recently by a Planned Parenthood affiliate. Okay, it was deleted a couple of hours after because of the backlash that happened, but it's still out there. It's the thing about words. Once you send them out, you can't get it back.
Get it back. Hello, it's there forever.
So, you know, it really communicated a lot. It was about Disney princesses, okay? So they said, we need a Disney princess who has had an abortion, a Disney princess who is pro-choice, a Disney princess who is an undocumented immigrant, who is a union worker, and a Disney princess who is a transsexual or a transvestite. So, you know, this is obviously out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So we're seeing exactly what's in the heart of this Planned Parenthood affiliate, like very, very broken language that's coming out there. So
where does it stop? Like, princess with 3 arms. We need a princess with, you know, and I think it starts to bleed into everyone needs, well, we need a princess for every single, but there's 7 billion freaking people on this earth. Like, I mean, we cannot appease every single thing, and we shouldn't have to. Like, I think it's a matter of finding the beauty in that. I mean, I grew up, you know, with my mom who's blonde, blue, and I remember having lots of like white princess dolls and seeing The Little Mermaid and all these things, and I never was like, oh, well, she's not my skin color. I mean, and that's just me personally, and I do know that some people have struggled with that. But for me, it wasn't that. I found my like excitement in she's a princess and look at her story. It wasn't.
Well, I mean, I think the truth of it is it's called a fairy tale. And in fairy tales, we want the healthiest version of anything. It's we are, and is it a bad thing to put in front of all of humanity a husband, a wife, and a child? Could that not be the prince, the princess, and the little baby?
Like the goal.
Like the that's
this
like
is the
how
dream.
beautiful is that? Instead, now what we're saying is, you know what we need to do? We need to represent every kind of hurt, pain, dysfunction, or difference. Since when does difference have to be promoted as the #1 thing for all to aspire to? Why can't? And the fairy tale is the character. It's the beauty of the woman. It's the chivalry of the man. And those are the things that we're wanting to bring back. So I think something like this shows a very sad slope of what our society is now really coming from. And I think it's a lack of morality. So without a lack of morality, now we're going, okay, we need every single person represented because that's going to make me feel better.
And we have, I think it smacks of PC. It smacks of the politically correct culture that has really gripped our nation. But even when I look at the Disney princesses, they do actually have quite a broad range of
Jasmine
cultures.
was brown. She was
Jasmine was Middle Eastern. Tatiana was the frog princess. She was dark-skinned. Who else did we have? We had the gypsy girl in The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
We had the chubby princess, the redhead one.
We even had a freaking mermaid. America. we had a woman with a tail and fins.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So like I mean, how broad does it go?
Yes.
It just makes everybody then is captive to like, oh my gosh, I didn't. And I feel like there has been a genuine attempt on behalf of Disney
Absolutely.
to really make sure that every little girl can see somewhat of her culture and ethnicity captured on the screen.
But do children need to be shown? I mean, think of the portrayal. We're going to show an abortion as a princess. Does a child need to see that?
No.
Wow.
Like, people are in counseling for those things that they have seen and been traumatized as children, and yet we want to put them front and center. There's a season, there's a time to talk about real issues and real topics.
Right.
To me, a Disney's princess is not the time or the place.
And this really makes me sad because my little 5-year-old girl really thinks she's a princess. She thinks she's a real life princess, of course, which makes me very happy.
And that's not a bad dream.
Yeah.
By the way.
I love that, and I would very highly dislike it if she looked at some of these, you know, what they're wanting to do and looked at those as the princesses that she looked up to.
The role model.
The role model.
I thank God that
it would go away.
Our young girls actually have a vision of what could be, as opposed to being reduced to like the worst dysfunction in the world today. Like, oh my gosh,
and
I
then
can
highlighting
look forward to terminating a pregnancy, or oh my gosh, I can look forward to being confused in my my gender, how I see myself. Like, they're actually not the goals and values we want to be putting in front of our kids. So, you know, who does Planned Parenthood think they are, thinking they can redefine what a princess looks like?
Right.
Like it's a princess.
Yeah, the politically correct movement, just like having to feel like you have to represent every single person, dysfunction, choice that you would make in a lifestyle. It's just, you can never appease that. And I mean, even political correctness has come to the point where you can't even, people are getting offended at the word male and female. Now, I was watching the news and they're trying to get rid of the word female, because that's offensive to some women. And I think it's like we've become so open-minded that our brains have fallen out. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You can't, people want to get rid of the words he and she. They want to get rid of, some places in the world have eliminated marking male or female on a birth certificate because they don't want to offend the child should they grow up and decide they want to be the opposite gender. So it's like, where do you draw the line? And you can't appease everyone. And honestly, people that are confused in their gender represent 1% or less of the population, yet we're trying to change the entire vocabulary that we've had from the beginning of time to make everybody happy and not offend. We can't offend anyone by calling you a male or female.
Right.
And honestly, it's a lack of, it's basically saying, I don't want any responsibility, even as a parent, to parent a child. Let them just raise themselves and decide for themselves what they are. I don't think it works like that.
Right.
I don't think that was the intention of becoming a parent. It's actually raising a child in the way that they should go. But instead, we're coming to this place of like, you just decide, you did, and then any word they come up with, well, that can be a word. I mean, it's gotten absolutely crazy.
Well, there's a reason God designed it so every child should have, in a healthy world, 2 parents to train them. There's a reason we don't have a baby and then drop it off in an apartment with a set of keys and go, good luck to you. You know, we're given, we should be given stewards and overseers who help us, you know, grow into the person that we were designed and created by God to be. So we're seeing like a lack of responsibility taken by the people that should be responsible. Just recently, I heard a news report about Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And he was quoted in an interview, a woman said, hey, something along the lines of, and she used the term mankind. And he stopped her and he said, I don't like the term mankind. I would prefer that you use the word people kind. And I just feel like, to your point, Becky, so open-minded that our brains have fallen out. Like, it's crazy, and when's it going to end? And we're all just fed up with it. Like, America is fed up with it. And even if you look at the results of the last election, I know people have very divided thoughts on what happened. A lot of it was a reaction to we're just done with the PC, politically correct culture that has gripped and made everybody afraid and every word offensive. And, you know, really that's what I see in this Planned Parenthood tweet. I just see it's like the symptoms of a world that has become so politically correct and lost its way and has thrown truth out. We've been afraid of speaking about the truth. Instead of
not here.
Right?
No,
You know, and they're trying to redefine and clarify and give definition and name every, you know, I don't think there's like 86 genders now, I'm not sure. So in their attempt to bring clarity to people's, they've actually brought more confusion. It has not brought more clarity. We have never been more confused. If we can no longer use the word he and she, male or female, and understand whose bathroom we need to go into, whether you have a penis or a vagina, I think we've really gone too far.
Right.
We've really gone too far. And we can say those things, correct? It's,
well, we've
human
said,
anatomy.
We've said penis 3 times. Make it 4. On today's show.
Make it 5.
And the fact that we have to walk on eggshells with people, like we have to go and literally worry if we're going to offend somebody if we call them whatever.
It's funny too because again, it bleeds into like I feel like some people get afraid to even say what color I am. Like they're like, I'm black. I actually am black, but they're like, oh, you're. And I'm like, just say it. I'm not going to be offended. But it's just so interesting, like you said. It's the sexism.
Because there's so much fear around it. So speaking to that, because people are so afraid of offending people. How do we approach you? Because we've been told that, you know, we don't understand. So help us understand.
And I'm passionate now, too, because, again, I joke about how, you know, obviously I'm brown, I'm black. My husband's white, and my baby girl is white. She's blonde. She's got blue eyes. And I joke about it because I'll be out with her, and I had a woman actually ask me if I was the nanny. And at first, I was like, oh, I'm so offended. How dare her think? And I was like, oh, whatever. But then I felt so bad that I was in that place of getting offended. Why? She was just looking and kind of she was unafraid to just say something. And I think that, again, there's a time and place for it. But I think that especially around race and obviously now around sex, it's become you're so afraid to even ask a question or say something, or am I going to offend you if you're Chinese but actually you're Japanese? Help me understand. And instead of us creating a space where you can be like, help me understand, Ashley, do you want me to call you black? Call me black. Call me brown. I don't care. But we've shut it down so much that you don't even have room for a question. And it makes me sad because when I think about my little cute blonde-haired kid going to school someday, I don't want her to have to deal with that and then feel ashamed of it, because then this confusion, I think, really brings shame.
Right.
And there is confusion around your sexuality, around your color, around all this thing. And I just think it keeps on starting. It just breeds shame, 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 shame everywhere.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, we've created a culture in this country of offense being like the sacred cow, like it's the untouchable thing. So, you know, I think if everyone just lightened up a little bit,
absolutely,
like lighten, just chill the heck out for a second.
So funny, like
don't take everything so sensitively.
All the assumptions. It's like you look at people as if you can tell what they are. Aren't we all a mix of a whole bunch of different ethnicities?
Yes.
Like I always, you know, I lived in Ecuador, so everybody assumes I'm Latin. Just this morning,
5 minutes ago,
thought that I was, and I'm like, no, I'm actually Italian, Jewish. You know, so I mean, we're made up of all these ethnicities.
We're all a mixed bag,
and we're not allowed to talk, and we can't ask the question. And that's just a fun thing. Like talking about our cultural history is actually fun and interesting.
And
instead of we've made it like a sacred cow that we can't talk about.
Right. Yes. And actually breaking down, like, just don't be. If I could give any counsel, it would be just turn the sensitivity dial down.
Yes.
Like, don't approach everything with like an attitude, because people get afraid. That's what shuts healthy conversation and healthy relationship down. Like, they want to control the narrative. And then everybody's quiet because everything's offensive. Nobody's going to have nothing to say in 2 years.
And life will be boring.
It doesn't bring us closer together by doing that. It actually makes the divide even farther.
Even greater. And you know what? I think for the most part, people want to get along. People want to get along. They want to be respectful. And I think we need to look for the good in people, not the bad. And just let some stuff roll off your back. Be like Daniel, the emotional support duck, and let it roll on off like water off a duck's back. Anyway, that's enough serious.
Cheers, ladies. Cheers to that.
Cheers. Amen. Okay, so that's enough serious. I want to talk about some of the viral trends that are grabbing the attention of our nation's teenagers right now. I mean, I remember growing up and there being all sorts of different things that people were doing at any given time. Right now, it feels like it's gone to a whole nother level. What's happening?
100%.
You're our portal into the millennial world.
I am, but like I said, barely, because I am just there. But it's so funny because, again, it's the internet generation. And now to think the fact that all these kids being born will never not know an internet. Like, I got the internet. I'm like, AOL,
and it used
baby.
to dial up. Do you remember that? And you'd hear the ring and it was like,
or my mom would be on the phone and I could hear her through the computer. I was like, oh, shoot, you know, on the internet. But with the Instagram and YouTube and all these fun things, I know the big one a lot of people remember is the ALS challenge, which is awesome, where you're like, dumping the water on your head.
Although we didn't know why we were dumping the water on our
Exactly.
head, let's just be honest.
And I want to
we just dumped the water.
I actually
wanna
did that, weirdly, with my kids and my dog.
I did as well.
Myself and Pastor Emma have a beautiful one on Facebook if you want to check it out.
Oh, we will go through the archives. But then there's other funny ones, like there's the recent Kylie Jenner lip challenge of like a year or two ago, where you would like take. Look at you're like excited. I know it was. You would take a cup and you would like suck on it until your lips exploded, and you'd be like,
oh shoot!
So yes,
Right.
it was.
Wow.
It was
So
wild.
people wanted that perfect duck pout
just like
for
the Jenner
selfies?
women.
All right.
But there's a bunch of them. And then there's another one last summer that was the condom on your head. So what you would do is listen.
How does it get that
How does it
big?
fit?
No,
Yeah,
well,
how
listen,
does it
first
go
of all, what you
big?
do,
Fun.
let me tell you, you fill it up with water, and it was like a water balloon. And listen, our youth were doing it. I saw all their Instagrams. I was like, I kind of like it, but it's so weird. But they would fill up the condom, and then you would drop it on your friend's head. And what was so funny is that it would like engulf their face, So some of these things are like hilarious. But then just in January of this year, they started, whoever they was,
Who is
he or
they?
she or
That's
they,
the question.
That's the
that
question.
person,
Yes.
they started this Tide Pod challenge. Where you've
yeah, that's
seen them.
horrible.
Like, here's the thing. I should have brought one this morning because they are really pretty, and I'm like so about like the texture. I'm like, ooh, it's so pretty. But I mean, common
Wow.
sense, people. Let's not
Tide
eat this.
Pods?
Yes.
They ate
To wash your dishes.
So you would buy them,
That's a
and,
disorder.
and it's so funny because
Yeah.
actually the Association of Poison Control said
Yeah.
that in January alone, the amount of teenagers getting exposed to it was already at 20% of the whole year of 2017.
What kind of a generation
So they
do
were
we
poisoned.
have? Yeah, if
Did
they're
anyone-
wanting to
Yes.
poison themselves for likes and attention.
100%.
That makes me sad. We need to discuss this further.
How
at
far are
another
they
time.
willing to go for likes?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
there's light things. I mean, but there's funny things. Like, I think, some of it's funny, but obviously not that. Like,
Actually,
Well, I want to ask this question.
did anyone die from that?
Ooh, good.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't confirm or deny.
Okay.
Wow, we'll find out. If you know, let us know on Facebook.
Yeah,
but
let
I
us
want to
know. Let us
ask you
know.
this question now. What is the strangest thing you have done to be liked? Write it down. We're going to read out some of your answers
Lord.
live on television.
Come on, ladies.
What are some of the things have you done anything weird to be liked? I mean, look, your stories are kind of blowing my mind over here. You chase your husband,
Oh
your
my
boyfriend
gosh.
with shoes.
You know what? I have not done that many crazy things. That was like the craziest thing I've done, actually, Leanne, was throw
Really?
shoes at my husband.
Okay.
So
I mean,
I think I'm going
Alright,
to defer
then
to
you're-
Becky on this
Oh,
one.
I have
to be
hair
liked?
stories and
I mean, all the boys in 6th grade liked the cheerleaders, so I would get up at recess and do cheers. Like, let's get down, let's get down, let's get down.
the shimmy
Like,
kills me
yes.
every time.
And
Oh
then,
my
yes,
gosh.
I
And every
yes, I
Australian
did that so the
cringes.
boys would like me in 6th grade.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
became
I
a
was in
pretend
school,
cheerleader.
and I remember this one time, everybody in my class wanted to get drunk. Like, it was like everybody was going to leave class and everyone was going to get drunk. And I was
plan.
so
What grade were
'cause
you in?
I'm not going to maybe disclose that, but it could have been high school. Anyways, and so of course, like, I am all about fun and people. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be involved in this. But I actually had no interest in, like, alcohol or drugs or those types of things. But I'm like, but I'm all for the fun. And so we go on this whole outing and everyone gets drunk. And so I just act drunk.
No, you didn't.
But like never actually consume the alcohol.
Like,
That's
that's
right.
I would like
lame.
to have seen that.
I love that.
That
How
would have been
lame you
epic.
were. That actually gives me hope for humanity. Because you're
You
so
acted drunk to fit
devoted.
Because I wanted the fun, but I didn't really want to be bad.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Well, you drank
All
your
right.
water.
I can kind of respect that.
You're so
I had
nice.
a-
Okay,
Actually,
Lorraine.
Just in here, there were no Tide Pod deaths.
Okay.
So
Oh,
Good,
thank
good,
God
good.
All right, we're glad.
no one's
Hopefully
dying
that
over
trend
viral
is
trends.
over.
But I think what's important with the trends and all of this going on, our kids are into this stuff.
Yeah.
I think we have to be aware as parents and teachers, what are the trends? We can't be so disengaged we don't know what's going on. The last thing you want to do is find your child dead with a Tide Pod in their mouth.
Yeah.
Like, we need to know so we can actually speak into it.
Yeah,
Right.
And just
We
like
do
go
have to
like,
be aware.
hey.
And have an understanding of what they're doing on their phones. Like, I check my kids'
Right.
phones.
Well,
Like,
you have no
so much for
problem
this
with-
privacy thing
Yeah.
not happening. Big brother.
My privacy, yeah, you don't get any.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, because there's no one qualifying. Like, that's the crazy thing of the internet. It's somebody in a room who has no qualifications doing whatever they want. And if it's funny, it goes viral. Doesn't mean it's smart.
Yeah.
No,
What
my
about
favorite, can I tell you my favorite
hiding
funny
out?
viral
The
beauty
hiding
video,
out.
though? Oh, go ahead.
No, the new one is what is it? The hiding
Yeah,
in
they're
store.
camping. They have to hide in a store.
Yes.
Hiding in
I would be
stores.
in camping in Nordstrom.
That
Yeah.
sounds kind of fun, though. That one's
So
not
you
that
try to
bad.
like stay in a
I'll be
store
with
overnight, like with the security, like, hey, that will get you shot.
Yes.
Like, let's talk. Like,
Probation officer Becky, come on, tell us. Do you
and, and you're breaking the law.
Yeah, but the flip side of getting shot is having fun. So
well,
fine line,
you got to remember, in America, the policemen are armed. Please, do not do
Don't
anything
be hiding
stupid,
in a
'cause
store
you could
and
end up
jump
dead.
out.
Like, that's a real deal.
That's what
here.
I'm saying. We need to know they're doing this stuff. We
Yes.
would hate
So
for our
funny.
children to participate.
Tell us
Yes.
what our people on Facebook are saying. What did they do?
We
What did they
actually
do?
have a viewer this morning, Cheryl Smith.
Yes.
So we love Cheryl. She used to pretend to smoke cigarettes.
She used to pretend
Oh,
to smoke
yes.
Wait,
cigarettes.
how do you
How does
pretend?
smoke not come out of your mouth?
Well, if you
Or
don't
just-
inhale.
Oh.
Right, again.
You're
no
so
idea.
innocent and
I
sweet.
know, let's just-
Stace.
Yeah, I
it
was
is what
pretty
it is.
innocent
Well, I
too.
want to ask this question now. What bad fashion trends have you fallen victim to? On Facebook, tell us what bad fashion trends have you fallen victim to? Let us know, because there are plenty to choose from out there. In Australia, there was a season where we had a thing called Kung Fu shoes.
I
Maybe
need to
Emma
Google them.
will. Okay, so they were like what like the Japanese karate people would wear, and
Like a
then
sandal?
no, they were like they kind of look like, you know what they look like? They look like those shoes where if you buy a pair, then a poor kid gets a pair.
Oh,
Toms?
yeah.
Toms. They look like Toms.
Like a bandage.
And we would wear them in Australia, yes, with something called a duffel coat.
Well, you have all kinds of things that we
Interesting.
don't know
Australia
about.
needs to
Yeah.
handle
Is it like a
itself.
duffel bag? Like, is it
It's
like a
just
bomber?
a big coat, and we would wear
Your
duffel
shoes.
coats with balloon skirts with kung fu shoes
Sounds
in the
so
80s.
hot.
I really want
Wow.
to see
Yes.
a photo. Like, it needs
I
to be
need
shown.
to, and cummerbunds. Do you have cummerbunds over here? Do you
I
remember
thought
the
that was
I know
like
what that
in
is.
the-
It
That's
sounds
what
very
boys wear.
sophisticated and wrong. I
It
don't
was
know.
just strange. In the 80s, I think you just put everything on at once.
Yeah, and
You
you
just
look
wore everything.
awesome.
Did you guys
Yeah.
wear Doc Martens?
Oh,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
yes.
With
That's
like
the
the
thing.
really
Ew.
thick
They're coming back. Listen, they
heel or
are.
the
Oh.
really thick bottom.
Everything. We should have saved
Yeah.
all of our clothes, you guys. We'd be so awesome.
100%.
I know.
On the fashion side, I had a hair malfunction. It was back when everyone started bleaching their hair, and it was like in 6th or 7th grade where everyone was like getting the freedom to do things to their hair. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm totally going to bleach my hair. Now, my natural hair is like crazy, like wild. So I
Right.
bought one box of bleach, which was obviously not enough, or bleach or
You
whatever, hair
bleached
dye.
your hair.
Listen, it gets good,
No.
okay? My afro was so big that it didn't fully dye all of my hair. And I remember I had like pictures the next day. I have a photo.
multicolored.
Next time, I promise you, today on
Pictures.
Instagram,
Oh
I'll post
my
it.
gosh.
My hair was half like blonde, half brown, but it wasn't even blonde. It was like orange. So I
Oh, yes.
really looked
Yes.
like a sweet potato, like a candied yam. I was a candied yam with a face, and it actually hurts
That
me to
is
think that that's
fantastic.
literally my history of my 7th grade year.
Wow.
Like my
Wow.
yearbook photo. It's, I mean,
Were people your
God
friends?
bless
Like, did they
surprise
like
middle
that?
school. Listen, I've always had a good
We all have
personality.
bad hair stories. We all have
Yeah.
bad hair stories.
I
I
actually
used to have a
have-
fringe.
I actually
like
have
that.
another viewer have some feedback here. So Spice Girls platform shoes.
Oh, there they
Oh.
are. Yes.
Wear those?
The
I
big
think
ones
that-
that Baby
yeah.
Spice
Oh
wore.
Oh my gosh, man, huge ones.
They were in when I
sparkly.
first moved here 15 years ago. I was
I
surprised at
believe
the like the high-heeled flip-flops.
Oh,
yes.
Nowhere in the world had I seen high-heeled
yeah.
flip-flops.
A short
In
girl's
fact,
dream.
No, and I
were-
just thought they
yes.
looked so tragic. And I'm like, why has nobody told America that these are bad shoes?
Well, tell us about your
People
business
still
career,
wear
and
Short
maybe we'll
people
listen.
got to be tall.
Yeah.
my
That's
Kung Fu
why.
shoes.
Stacy.
Another one here is clear plastic jackets. Did you guys wear those?
No.
I saw
Like a
one of those the
raincoat?
other day.
We have matching track suits, which I did myself own a few of
yeah,
those.
yeah.
Juicy.
Yes.
Juicy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Every
Velour.
soccer mom in
Oh,
Carmel
velour,
Valley,
yeah.
San Diego, and beyond had juicy on their butt.
Yeah.
Even if their butt was not
You
juicy.
had one too.
on your butt.
You had a
Yes.
pink one. I remember.
Look at
You
Michaela's
remember
like,
that?
actually.
And I did too.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes.
I love you.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So
So
fun.
cute. So do we have any viewer feedback? What did they get? What did they wear? What did they wear back in those days that was crazy and fun and fashion trends? That,
Someone else here put biker shorts.
right?
Did you guys wear those?
Biker
Yeah,
shorts.
no, I mean,
Yeah, I lived
no.
in biker shorts. We had another, all my Aussie watchers today will understand this, scungies.
What?
I mean,
That sounds-
Okay, again, it sounds
yeah,
like a
but
bad
same.
word.
I
I'm
almost
like,
need Emma on here.
Yes.
Next time I'm going to get Emma.
are-
Scungies were what you wore over your underwear, and it somehow made it okay to show everybody your underwear.
Over your
so,
underwear?
like, yeah, you wore underwear and then scungies, which were
Ew.
like tight.
I have a list of things I'm gonna be
lycra
Googling this afternoon.
pants.
Okay, it
So if you
sounds
did
like
a
a lot of wrong.
cartwheel in the schoolyard, it was somehow okay because they were scungies not undies.
Becky, please tell us
on that note,
come on.
a different fashion trend. Help us.
Oh.
What did you participate in?
I listened to one person going into high school. You know, you want to fit in going into high school. You don't know what to wear, what to buy, what the style is. You're all nervous. Well, I thought this one gal represented all of fashion.
Right.
And she let me know that trapeze tops were the thing, and baby bangs.
Okay, the baby bangs.
So the baby bangs were like they only came to here. It was like you had one of those black cones on your head.
Yeah, yes.
So and then trapeze tops were like tight here, and then they just went out really big, and you wore leggings. So sure enough, she only represented herself because I was the only other person that had baby bangs and trapeze tops, and I spent all my money on trapeze tops.
Who did that to you? You need to forgive them. Like
I should have inner healing.
Like inner healing on
that.
I'd be
sad.
The cutting of the hair when I was, this is so sad, like a young teenager. And I don't know, maybe it was because at this point I'm growing up in Ecuador, so I'm blaming it in the fact that I was in another country and trends come out at all different times.
It's a great scapegoat.
Yeah.
Go with that.
And so I did this thing, does anybody remember where you would shave like half of like the back of your head?
Oh.
So you would like shave the back of your head, but your actual hair covered the rest of it. So if you wanted it down, you looked like normal.
Right.
But
It's so
you could put
edgy,
it in,
I just can't
You could put it in a
imagine.
ponytail and you were like, cool.
Did you put designs in it?
Oh, no joke, you guys. I had a back. I have so much hair, so it was totally worked for me. It was like my fad. And I would shave the back of my head. Yo, they put my initials in there one time.
SC. You had SC.
On the back of my head, just in case people needed to know, my initials walking around,
Oh my goodness.
That takes
happened.
monogramming to a whole nother level. Forget about the towels, Pottery Barn. I'm doing my head.
That happened.
That's quite
Love it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
So
listen,
fun.
we've run out of time. We want to thank you for joining us on episode 3 of Cherish TV. And we want to let you know that we are starting next, when are we? April 26th. We are back here for Cherish TV.
Yeah.
We want you to be part of our live studio audience.
Fun.
We need you. We would love you to let us know on Facebook. If you can come join us and be part of our studio here at our central campus, we would love to have you. We want to let you know that our Cherish conference is happening October 4th and 6th. You can register for that. But thanks again for joining us on Cherish TV. Have a great day. We love you, America.
Bye.
Bye.
Who can find a virtuous woman? For her worth is far above rubies. She seeks wool and flax, and willingly works with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She also rises while it is yet night, and provides food for her household. She girds herself with strength, and her lamp does not go out by night. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hand holds the spindle. She extends her hand to the poor. Yes, she reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is clothed with scarlet. She makes tapestry for herself. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come.